Life is not a journey toward understanding, but a return to wonder. The greatest hazard of all, losing oneself, can occur so quietly you might not even notice it happening. There are moments when we sit in silence just to feel ourselves living. Life doesn't always need answers. Sometimes it only asks for an honest look at what is. Soren Kierkegaard, the Danish philosopher often called the father of existentialism, didn't write for applause. He wrote to wake people up, to remind us that life is not about becoming someone else, but about daring to be ourselves. His words carry the quiet weight of honesty, the kind that doesn't try to teach, but to touch. Kierkegaard never tried to tell people what to believe. He simply whispered, "Dare to live truthfully, even when it feels frightening." Because understanding doesn't come from thinking harder. It comes from feeling deeper, from the quiet courage to exist as we truly are. As you listen to his reflections, let them speak not only to your mind, but also to your English. Every quote you hear today can become a small teacher, a phrase to repeat, a rhythm to feel, a piece of language that stays with you. Don't just study the words, live them. Let them shape how you think, how you express, how you see the world. Because learning English isn't about perfect grammar. It's about finding your own voice in another language. And just like Kierkegaard believed, understanding doesn't come first. Living does. So listen slowly. Feel the pauses. Let the words sink in until they begin to sound like your own thoughts. Hope is a passion for the possible. Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. Face the facts of being what you are, for that is what changes what you are. The most common form of despair is not being who you are. The despairing refusal to be oneself. People settle for a level of despair they can tolerate and call it happiness. Happiness is the greatest hiding place for despair. People demand freedom of speech as a compensation for the freedom of thought which they seldom use. Anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. The most painful state of being is remembering the future, particularly the one you'll never have. Whoever has learned to be anxious in the right way has learned the ultimate. It is impossible to exist without passion. It is better to get lost in the passion than to lose the passion. To dare to lose one's footing momentarily, not to dare, is to lose oneself. Leap of faith, yes, but only after reflection. Faith begins precisely where thinking leaves off. Faith is the highest passion in a man. The self-assured believer is a greater sinner in the eyes of God than the troubled disbeliever. Boredom is the root of all evil. Many of us pursue pleasure with such breathless haste that we hurry past it. It is so hard to believe because it is so hard to obey. My sorrow is my castle. Life has its own hidden forces which you can only discover by living. Once you are born in this world, you're old enough to die. The tyrant dies and his rule is over. The martyr dies and his rule begins. My standpoint is armed neutrality. The only intelligent tactical response to life's horror is to laugh defiantly at it. I opened my eyes and saw the real world, and I began to laugh, and I haven't stopped since. What if everything in the world were a misunderstanding? What if laughter were really tears? Take away the paradox from the thinker, and you have a professor. Of all deceivers, fear most yourself. Therefore, do not deceive yourself. If you want to be loathsome to God, just run with the herd. To be lost in spiritlessness is the most terrible thing of all. A no does not hide anything, but a yes very easily becomes a deception. Knowledge is a wealth that cannot be stolen. Once you label me, you negate me. It is very important in life to know when your cue comes. It is not what happens to me that makes me great, but it is what I do. People understand me so poorly that they don't even understand my complaint about them not understanding me. Life has become a bitter drink to me, and yet it must be taken in drops counted one by one. You become what you understand. The highest, after all, is not to comprehend the highest, but to do it. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. To be human is not a fact, but a task. Be that self that one is. What is youth? A dream. What is love? The dream's content. Don't forget to love yourself. The best response to criticism is to smile and forget. Faith is the armor that preserves the mind. Cultivate the will, therefore do not deceive yourself. Schopenhauer didn't just speak about suffering or solitude. He was pointing us toward awareness, that rare state where we stop running, stop resisting, and begin to see. To live, he said, is to understand, not by solving every problem, but by observing what it means to be human. And in that observation and that quiet understanding, we start to learn the real language of life. It's the same with learning English. You don't master it by memorizing words alone, but by living with the language, letting phrases breathe through you, feeling the rhythm of a sentence, the silence between thoughts. Each quote, each new word you meet is not just vocabulary, it's a mirror. It reflects your emotions, your doubts, your growing awareness. So when you learn, don't rush. Let every line sit with you for a while. Let meaning unfold the way understanding unfolds in life. Slowly, deeply, quietly. Maybe this is what philosophy and language share. Both are ways of coming closer to yourself. When you speak, when you read, when you listen, you're not just learning English. You're learning how to think, how to feel, how to be. And in that stillness after the last word, when you stop translating and simply understand, that's where learning becomes living. That's where you are fully here.